All right, so welcome back to the Winter Fancy Food Show here at Moscone. Of course, we are here on day 2, covering the show from all angles. And today with me, I've got Rafi Taherian, who is the Vice President of Hospitality there at Yale University. Great to have you.
Thank you very much, and great to be with you.
Yeah.
Paul.
So Rafi, let's get into your background. Some of our audience here in the specialty food market may not necessarily understand what the hospitality side of the university at Yale really involves. Kind of share with us a little bit about what you're doing.
Sure. In essence, we're serving a city, a small-sized city.
Yeah.
Okay, in various aspects of food and beverage needs and hospitality needs. We operate 14 residential colleges that are beautiful. These are little communities of 450 students and faculty, and we have 14 of them. And they're amazing. Each one of these facilities, they have their own dining facilities, they have their own chefs, they have their own management staff, and there they are served 3 meals a day, 7 days per week.
Yep.
Beside that, we have a full-service catering organization that does an average of 45 to 50 catering events. And these catering events, they could be anything of 6 muffins and quart of coffee to multiple courses, services for very, very high-end VIP for up to 11 to 1,200 guests that they come to Yale University for various events and activities. And then on the other side, we have a whole host of food and beverage retail outlets. They could be restaurants, they could be executive centers, they could be banquet centers, they could be convenience stores, cafes. We operate our own bakery, we operate our own commissary, food service.
Yeah.
We call it culinary support center. So in a sense, we do about 15,000 meals a day of different type of service, basically, for this campus. So Yale Hospitality, in essence, is in charge of these operations and provide oversight and leadership for it.
Sure. All right, so you obviously get a chance to spend a lot of time with students in the hospitality program. And, you know, in the industry, we're seeing everything here at the show from startups to food service operators coming in, looking at especially as maybe a potential ingredient or something that could spin into their packaged goods side of their business. What are you seeing from the educational side at the student level where their interests lie? Are they looking at maybe doing a food startup? Are they wanting to become a chef? Where do you see kind of the trends that are happening from our youth right now?
Well, this is an excellent question, Paul. We have seen over the years a continuous increase in student interest in food and beverage,
Right.
Food business overall, be it in the agriculture sector of it, farming, looking at manufacturing, coming up with solutions that are more sustainable. And these are students that from our School of Forestry, School of Management. Believe it or not, a number of our students, they actually opened up their own restaurants and they're expanding their footprint.
Okay.
We have some of the children of people that are very, very top in the food industry also coming to Yale, and we have seen they leaving Yale with opening up startups in the food industry. It is not uncommon to have at least 4 or 5 students or group of the students on an annual basis coming to us and asking us for advice in terms of what they are planning to do, to ask us if we would be a good site for their products,
Right.
that we would be buying their products if in fact they went on the business.
I like it.
Yeah, and so, yeah, that happens. There's a tremendous amount of interest. A lot of them share the aspect of the sustainability. They think they can disrupt the space by being more sustainable, more traceable, more
Right.
better for you, better for the environment. So that's where they feel they can disrupt the industry.
Yeah. So, and that is something we're seeing at the show. We've seen it over the past few years in trends that have been identified in food service. When you're talking about sustainability, programs there within the university, how are you guys addressing sustainability to kind of set the tone for these young minds that are coming through the program today? What are you guys doing?
So at Yale, you probably know that the interest in the sustainable food system was one that started many, many years ago uh, with the engagement with Alice Water and
Hmm.
that project of Yale Sustainable Food Project
Okay.
that continue to thrive today. And there was a tremendous amount of institutional interest in terms of what food sustainability meant and how it needs to be moving forward
Right.
in the industry. Today, we are on an ongoing basis. We have these multi-year initiatives that are underwritten by senior leadership of the university and resourced and supported, and is not an expectation only to make sure that we're providing adequate leadership in the area of the sustainability, but we're providing really, really concrete solutions that other people can follow.
Hmm.
For example, in our program, this notion of food that is good for people and good for planet, it's something that we've been supporting for many years through a very specific initiatives.
Right.
We believe that food has to be healthy. It has to have not too much of environmental impact. Uh, be ethically sourced, be it fair trade or be it animal treatment. We want to make sure the animals are treated correctly in the process. And we do fair trade. We support our local and regional suppliers in the best way we can when it's possible.
Yeah.
And so we've been doing these type of initiatives for quite some time. Almost 45% of total our purchasing today comes from any of those initiatives that I just mentioned to you.
So very top of mind. That's great, and obviously that's kind of evolving and rotate and kind of moving into other parts of the industry. Obviously, we've seen it in food manufacturing. It's starting to trickle down. We're seeing it here at the Specialty Food Show this year, and years past we've seen a lot of new products kind of hitting the market with a lot of sustainability focus. But this year, it seems like everyone is really on top of this finally here in the food system. So that's great to know. Let's talk about some trends that both we're seeing here at the show, but also in the industry itself. Plant-based, of course, has been the buzzword. Everybody's using it. You guys have kind of, what's your thought on that? Plant-based, is it here to stay? What's the where do you think our society is moving toward that?
I think, Paul, if you look at some of the most recent reports and information that is coming out, some of it actually reported by Eat Lancet Reports. It's one that is getting a lot of attention now internationally. And you'll see, for example, in United States, we are consuming a significant amount of our calories from animal sources.
Right.
And in some reports, I even saw 6 times, 7 times more than what the recommended dietary guidelines suggest that we should be consuming. So this notion of plant-based or plant-forward or plant-centric approach is not so much of new approach. We're just creating new vernacular for it.
Right, right.
Eating less meat, we've been trying to do it for quite some time. So, and I don't think this is a trend that is going to die anytime soon. I think this is just a lifestyle that is going to move forward, particularly with millennial going to take now jobs, and post-millennials and Gen Zs coming in colleges and universities. These two particular trends were very important to millennials, and they're more even important to post-millennials.
Right.
I think the term that we're seeing becoming more, and we're becoming more familiar with, is flexitarian.
Right.
People that they eat meat, but they just choose not to eat so much of it.
Yeah. So it's more of a balanced,
Right.
approach.
In our program, we've used Mediterranean diet as a platform for many years now to build the fundamentals of our menus. That doesn't mean we're not featuring Asian food or Southeast Asian food. Yeah, we do all the other ethnically authentic food in our menus, but The base of our menu is based on Mediterranean diet,
Hmm.
which has a lot of whole grains. It has a lot of legumes. It has a lot of olive oil. At Yale, we use 4 times national average on olive oil. Sometimes we're shocked about it ourselves. How's that even possible? But and then Mediterranean diet is one that inherently is plant-centric
Yeah.
and plant-forward type of menu,
Yeah.
and it's very popular with the students.
Sure. And I think, when I look at it, we study this a lot, on the network. And one thing that is interesting to me is, as you kind of mentioned, is the millennial movement obviously has kind of adopted plant-based as kind of their new moniker of, this is how I'm cool. And this is, I just want to shift my diet a little bit, eat different than my parents did. But my question is, when you look at the carbon impact,
Yes.
and, because I hear this from ag tech people around the world, that we can't put too much pressure on our plant system, our, just our land. Obviously, there's a lot of, new technologies out there in ag tech that are
Yeah.
moving in to help sustain that a little bit better. But I think the balance is there in the sense of pulling off of the carbon for animal raising and pushing over to the carbon for more plant-based type, farming. Your thoughts on how that is going to happen when you have a millennial audience that's just so massive?
Right. So I don't know if you know that, Paul, when Beyond Burger was launched in a massive scale, we were the first university to adopt it. Actually, they chose to launch it at Yale University. And we, at the time, we believed, and we continue to believe, that the protein analogs, they have a place in the food system. Are they going to be taking over, and we're all going to be eating protein analog in the next 10 years? I don't think that's going to be the case.
Okay.
What we are experiencing is that a group of our students, that they are identifying themselves as vegan and vegetarian, they use these options quite often.
Hmm.
And other group of the students, they experimented with it. They didn't hate it, but I think sometimes they order, but it wasn't that we experienced a complete movement from animal-based protein to
Okay.
protein analogs.
Right.
But the technology is still young.
I was going to say,
it's at the earliest
it's just
stages.
really getting out
Yeah.
there. So if you were to, if there were, if you think about the beef producers out there
Right.
today, okay, hundreds, maybe thousands, and you look into the Beyond Meats of the world, there's really only a handful.
Right.
Beyond, Impossible, Memphis Meats, some of the lab-grown product that's coming out. There's really a handful of those. So if those were to proliferate, if you had 24 of those companies and you were able to not only get in McDonald's, but into the top 500 concepts, now you've got a complete opportunity here of truly shifting the dynamic of where diets are going to move, just like it did in the 70s and 60s when beef became, the major consumption for protein. I guess that's my concern is when we get to that scale, because there's going to be companies chasing these guys because they're so successful right now.
So I like to bring you back to the earlier question that you had for me, and that was related to the consumption of the animal-based protein. We consume a lot of protein. Okay, we do consume a lot of animal-based protein, be it beef, be it poultry, be it pork, from different sources.
Yeah.
The question is it really necessary for us to eat so much meat?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that is
So
true.
if you look at other countries and other cultures, they eat meat. They eat probably better quality meats than we do. Okay. We brag about our beef and our animal-based protein is becoming antibiotic-free, hormone-free, and all these other things. In other countries, they don't do these kind of things.
Right.
Okay, and they eat less of it. So imagine our country in the next 5-6 years, if today we are 6 times or 7 times average, more than what we are supposed to, if we come to a place where we are, let's say, 50% of what we are consuming
Right.
today, so then
That's a big impact.
Then that is a huge impact. I think one of the greatest things that we are seeing now, that the meat industry is now responding to
Right.
these behavior
Yes.
from a consumer side. If ABF was something that you had to explain to people what it is, today most people in the show, if you tell them ABF, they know what it is.
Right, right.
They're probably actually manufacturing ABF, okay, and hormone free.
Right.
So it has become a common vernacular in our industry. In a very short period of time, I
yeah.
remember 10
Yeah.
years ago,
Wasn't there?
it was not, I was in Chicago giving a presentation, and people, they thought that I was crazy. and that Yale was some elitist school trying to serve antibiotic-free meat. And why would you do that? Today, that has become the norm
Yeah, it's the kind of the table stakes.
in a very short window
Yeah,
of the time.
very short time. So there's definitely some movements going on. Let's talk a little bit about retail trends, and we'll wrap up here. Retail trends, we're seeing technology, ag tech hitting, AI now starting to move into the food system in terms of production, but also in terms of the technology that's being used. What are you seeing from the stance of a major university that's getting ready for kind of this next era in technology and food?
I think technology is revolutionizing our space in a way that we don't even know how to respond to it. It's going so fast and
Yeah.
so quick. There are universities now in the country that they have robots that deliver pizza to their students, and you got these little things that they're going around the campus. And but in a more general way, I think the problems are staying the same. We are trying to control waste. Technology is going to help us doing that through predictive analytics and AI. We're trying to figure those things out. In terms of automation of the work, it's been so difficult for us recruiting and retaining talent in our organization, and that has been identified by IFMA, by Specialty Food Association, by NRA as the single one biggest problem confronting the food industry,
Yeah.
Recruiting and retaining talent.
For sure.
And I think through automation, through technology, probably we're going to get some relief there. In manufacturing, we're more than ever before, we're looking for value-added products that they have not lost their integrity through the process. So better produce, better products that can help us actually in our line of work, because a portion of the work is being done somewhere else without the item losing its integrity,
Right.
and its quality.
Yeah.
Okay. I think if those things they happen in the industry, I think it's going to have tremendous impact on our segment and in all other segments in the industry. We're looking at some alternative solution today in terms of AI and how we can use AI in our menu management and menu engineering, our production methodology, and we'll see.
Yeah.
It's going very fast, Paul.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a different food industry in 5 years. I don't know that, you look at just the rapid pace of adoption against what we're seeing in terms of the companies that are out there implementing new technologies to help. Because I see new stuff here at the show, other conferences that I go to. It's amazing the ideas that are coming to the table. So it'll be interesting to see how all this comes together.
I was recently in China and in Beijing. There was a restaurant that opened up 6 months ago, and in this restaurant, waiters are actually robots. You go in a restaurant, you sit, and you order through your the digital menu. A robotic waiter brings your food to the table. The busboys are robotic. The kitchen, they have all these robots that actually assembles the food. And I was shocked to see this place, and I couldn't understand that how in China.
Yeah.
I mean, labor has never been an issue for them.
Sure.
If they're looking at in a way to increase efficiencies,
Yeah.
to take the conversation to that level of extreme.
Right.
Okay, I think pretty soon you're going to see some of these
Oh, yeah.
technology being experimented here in the United States.
Yeah, for sure, just because of our labor situation. Rafi, it's been great having you on the set today. Thanks for stopping in.
Paul, thank you very, very much for having me.
All right. Okay, so make sure and stay tuned right here at the Winter Fancy Food Show. We will be back with more coverage. Don't miss it. We'll catch you soon.